Hi everyone, welcome to Quickly Outdoors. Today we are looking at the Fiskars folding saw, so stick around. So many of you may know that I'm a big fan of Silky saws. I've reviewed several of them on the channel in the past, but they aren't for everybody. Some people don't like the style of the way they cut, and some people don't like the price. So I found this Fiskars folding saw online. Now I've reviewed several items from Fiskars too, and always found them to be of good quality and of great value. So I spotted this and I thought we would test this out. Is this going to be a great alternative for a Silky saw or various other saws? We're going to find out today. First up, let's have some facts and figures. So the Fiskars SW69 folding saw weighs 272 grams. When it is closed, the dimensions are 272 millimeters by 70 millimeters. When it is opened fully, the dimensions are 475 millimeters by 92 millimeters. The saw blade is 210 millimeters. The saw blade depth is 42 millimeters and has a width of 0.8 millimeters. The saw has an ergonomic grip, which they call soft grip, with two different materials which provides a non-slip grip. The blade is classed as a coarse cutting blade with 7 teeth per inch. It is made from steel, although unfortunately nowhere online can I find the exact type of steel which is used to make the blades. I'm presuming it is a high carbon steel, but unfortunately I cannot confirm that. To open the saw, you need to press this button, hold that inwards, and you get 3 different positions: the first, the second, and the last. And again, to change that back, you just hold the button in and then it will go all the way back into the handle. Nicely tucked away, nice and safe. The fact you can't pull it out without pressing that button, yeah, I do like that. With a blade length of 21 centimeters, it kind of puts it in between two of the most popular Silky saw models. Now by that I mean the most popular versions of the Silky Gone Boy and Silky Pocket Boy. There is a Gone Boy which has a 21 centimeter blade, but there are also other alternatives out there which have the same size blade as this too. That includes the Gerber Bushcraft saw, the Z saw tucking, and the Silky Gone Boy medium. Now unfortunately I don't have any of those saws to do a direct comparison with. What I do have is a Silky Gone Boy Outback edition. The blade is about 3 centimeters longer than this one, but it should give us a rough idea. Like the Silky saws, this saw does only cut on the pull, not on the push. Now that has been used by Silky for safety reasons, they say. Some people might not like that. It can make it feel like sometimes you need more effort, but I actually like it. I think you can concentrate on the pull and not push the saw inwards and therefore potentially flex the blade and snap it. Anyway, first up, let's check this Fiskars saw out on its own on some various different sizes of wood. So to test out the Fiskars folding saw initially, I've got 3 pieces of wood here. The first one is 18 millimeters in diameter, the second one is 26 millimeters in diameter, and the last one is 32 millimeters in diameter. Right, let's start off with the smallest one and see how easily this saw cuts through it. Next, the slightly larger one. Very easy again. And finally, the largest one here. Now this saw felt very comfortable cutting through all 3 of those pieces of wood. It didn't feel like hard work. The handle was nice and comfortable. It didn't slip at all. So first test, I think it worked pretty well. Right, although those pieces of wood are probably what this is designed for, I do like to push things a little bit, so let's go a little bit bigger. Right, this next piece is 42 millimeters in diameter. Nice clean cut, and yeah, not too much effort required for a piece of that diameter. I'm impressed. It cuts very, very well. I do like the fact that you can change the angle of the blade all the way up to this level here, and I believe this one is so you can get an undercut on a branch when you're doing things like pruning. The most common angle I think most people use is this one, of course, for cutting logs and bits of wood. But yeah, I like the fact you can change the angle on it. It makes it a little bit more versatile in the wood. So I've seen this against bits of log with a brown or green. How is it if I wanted to trim just the end off a fence post? Let's give it a try. Splintered slightly at the end, but this wood splinters very easily anyway. But yeah, went through very, very nice, very, very comfortable. Would be useful for doing some woodwork tasks as well as using it in the forest. I also found this saw useful in making myself some coasters from a log in the wood, as you see here before and after I've waxed them. So a very useful tool for general woodwork in the forest, for maintenance of things like fence posts, and even a little bit of bushcraft and creativity. So as I said before, there are saws which are the same size as the Fiskars SW69, including a model of the Silky Gomboy. But as you can see, the Gomboy Outback that I have, the blade is a little bit longer and not quite as deep as the Fiskars, so that is an advantage in the comparison we're going to do now. But I feel like the Fiskars will still perform well, so let's give it a try. I have a piece of wood here, which is 45 millimeters in diameter, and we're going to see just how well each one of these saws cuts through it. First up, our Fiskars folding saw. A little bit more effort, but it got through, and a nice smooth cut. Next, the Gomboy Outback edition. Right, again, a nice smooth cut. A little bit of effort required, but not too much. If I'm being honest, it did feel easier with the Gomboy than with the Fiskars. I think that slightly longer blade and slightly narrower blade in depth does make it a little bit easier. It doesn't stick as much in the wood. So not quite the fairest competition between these two. It should have been the smaller Gomboy, but unfortunately this is all I have with me today. This one was from the Fiskars, this one was from the Silky, and they both have a nice smooth cut through the wood. Yeah, both perform well, no jagged edges on there, which means they didn't catch on the last part of the cut. So they both perform very, very well. So is the Fiskars folding saw a Silky killer? Well, not really. I think it does compete in the same sort of marketplace as the Silky saws. One thing I can say where this Fiskars does have an advantage over the Pocket Boy, the Gomboy, is the length of the handle. This one seems much more comfortable to use with two hands. I do like the grip and texture on the Silky saws, but I don't know, this just seems like it's got a little bit more length, which you kind of need if you're sawing, especially if it's sawing something which is going to take quite a while. If I had the choice, I'd still go for the Silky saw, I think, over the Fiskars, if I could afford it. And of course that brings me to the price. So I showed you earlier some saws out there which are a similar size and I think are a good comparison to the Fiskars. That includes the Z saw, which is approximately 25 euros, the Gerber, which is about 48 euros, and then the Silky Gomboy Medium, which is about 53 euros. Of course, the version I'm using today was a little bit more expensive than that medium Gomboy. This one retails for about 65 to 70 euros, depending on the retailer. But this Fiskars folding saw retails for around about 35 euros. I paid a little bit less than that, about 32 euros I think it was. And I don't think that's bad value for a folding saw of this quality. It feels tough, it cuts smoothly. I like that larger handle. If I show you compared to the Silky, the handle is longer. And that means you can get a full two-handed grip on this saw. Whereas on the Silky Gomboy, you're kind of hanging off the edge with your hand. Also, this saw has that button to release the actual blade, whereas the Silky Gomboy just folds out whenever it likes. The only time you need the button with the Silky is to change the angle of the blade and to press it to release it to put it back in the handle. This one, you need the button to be pressed each time you change the angle, and then of course when you are pushing it back in its place. So I like that. It's a really nice safety feature. Both saws of course cut on the pull, but the Silky does it slightly better. Also, I think the blade is fairly good quality, as through my testing and quite heavy use, the blade is still straight, no bends, no warping. That is also a good bonus. So yeah, I'm confident I could use this outdoors and it would last the test of time fairly well. Yes, there are more expensive folding saws out there, and yes, there are cheaper ones, but I think for 35 euros, this is a bargain. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the Fiskars folding saw in the comment section below. Would you pick this over some other branded folding saws on the market? Let me know in the comment section below. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, much love, see you next time.